Welcome to episode 32 of the Tough Draw Talks podcast. I'm your host, Brad Hughes. Appreciate you being along for the ride. This evening, we are coming to you from Atoka, Oklahoma, in the Lane Frost brand warehouse. The Lane Frost brand is our presenting sponsor for this year for 2023, and we appreciate everything Stetson and the Frost family have done for us here at Tough Draw. Be sure and visit lanefrost.com for some amazing hats, shirts, and everything Lane Frost you can imagine. Stetson has invited an extra special guest to Atoka to play at the family restaurant tonight, and he just finished. Justin Biltonen. Got it right?
Yeah, you nailed it.
Oh, yeah. Okay, here we go. Justin and I have gotten to know each other over the past couple of months, and he is proud to work with the Lane Frost brand as well. For those of you that don't know, Justin is a talented musician, and I would call him an all-around Renaissance man. With his new EP, Restless, out wherever you get music, as well as for you rock fans, Justin is the bass player for Three Doors Down, and also is the founder of Sacred West Vintage, where he specializes in silver and turquoise. So much going on. Justin, dude, how's it going, man?
Good, man. Thanks for having me.
That's a mouthful. That is a lot of stuff. I was like sitting here thinking about my intro, and I was like, geez, there's a lot to say there. You got a lot going on. Now, I don't know how many podcasts you've gotten to listen to, but we like to start off with a couple of icebreakers just to shake off the nerves and the rust. I know you just got done singing, so we'll just some simple stuff. So I'm actually a filmmaker. That's what my background is, so I always want to know, what's your favorite movie?
That's a toss-up. I've always loved Star Wars, Indiana Jones, all that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Growing up, but the one that I always go back to that I could watch pretty much every day, quote, all that kind of stuff is Tombstone.
Oh, yeah.
It's been one of my favorite movies, probably since it came out when I was a little kid.
Yeah.
And, it's just one, like, I'm traveling and stuff. I've been able to go to Tombstone and see
cool.
the history. Yeah. And it's just one, all-star cast. It's probably one of the coolest Westerns ever made, and it's one I always go back to.
Oh, yeah. Who's your favorite character in Tombstone?
Oh, Doc Holliday. Come on.
There you go. There you go. What about, so, you're a musician. We have a lot of athletes on this podcast as well, but, like, what are some superstitions or, like, maybe some pre-show rituals that you do, if you have any? A
big one that I always do, it carries over from, Three Doors, and anything I do with myself is pray.
There you go.
And kind of gets me in the mindset, and it always calms me down no matter what show. If it's nervous or if it's anything going on, I always pray and pray that everybody has a good time, protection, and that I'm able to play and sing for the night. Guys always watching out, so it helps.
Heck yeah! No, you did great tonight, man.
Well, thank you.
Did great tonight.
Thank you.
What about we were at a Mexican restaurant tonight. It was great food. El Adobe in Atoka, Oklahoma, if you ever get a chance to stop by. But what's your favorite food?
Barbecue. It's got to be just the wide span of barbecue.
Yeah.
From all the different places. Everybody always tries to compete with, like, what's better, and I love it all.
Well, okay, so you said that. I'm going to put you on the spot, though. You have been all over the country.
Yeah.
Who has the best barbecue? I feel like that's always a debate.
Each piece has a different thing, right? So, my favorite ribs, which people might get mad about, is Oklahoma Joe's.
Yeah.
Some of my favorite ribs. We get them for after show. I can eat the whole slab.
There you go.
And then probably start in on another one. You can't beat Texas for brisket. It's gonna be the best brisket. And then North Carolina is pork. Yeah. That's where I grew up. So pork barbecue there, you can't beat it. So everybody's got their little specialties, and those are the three big ones, I think, is pork, ribs, and brisket, and
absolutely
those places got to go.
Yeah, heck yeah, man. So this is always kind of an interesting icebreaker, and I feel like it kind of launches us into some really good discussions. But what's the best compliment you've ever received?
Oh, geez. I don't know. I'd have to think about that. I don't think anybody's ever asked me that question.
Was it my kids dancing in front of the stage tonight?
I think I think stuff like like that, like not necessarily someone saying like, "Oh, hey, you look like this famous person," or like
The Undertaker.
You sound great. Yeah, the Undertaker. It's the stuff like whenever, like playing last night, two of my friends came up from Kingston and they requested a song that I've written twice, like back to back, because they love that song so much.
That's
and
cool.
That is like, those are the kind of compliments and stuff that you're like, all right, this is like when friends come up and they want to hear your song and they're singing along to it. I mean, that goes a long way.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I've got a couple requests here in a little while since you got your guitar out here tonight.
Yeah.
All right. So you and I, it's funny because we actually met in Nashville when Blake Cody introduced us, and then found out you were connected to Stetson and stuff like that. You talked about North Carolina, right? And so give me a little bit about your background. How'd you end up playing music and kind of where you're at?
Yeah, born and raised in North Carolina, kind of in the mountains, western North Carolina. And we had I guess you'd say a musical family. We weren't like a bunch of players and stuff, but my dad, he always wanted to be a country singer, and they had the plan of moving to Nashville to be a country singer. And that didn't quite happen, but because I came along. But music was always on in the house, like for as long as I can remember. My mom's a huge Elvis fan.
Very cool.
And always had Elvis on, watching the movies, everything. And Dad was a huge country fan, and especially at that time, early '90s. You know, it was like everything that everybody's in love with right now, all that great country music that was coming out.
Absolutely.
Garth and Al Jackson and Shenandoah, Little Texas, all that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So that was kind of those pivotal years where, you know, just always immersed in that songs and stuff, always going on. And my mom had an old guitar that she played in the 70s, and I think I was 10 and started, you know, kind of picking around on it, and took lessons for a year. My dad took us out, and then we couldn't afford those anymore, so I started playing with friends, and then that evolved into being able to play enough to play in church. And around that time, like Baptist churches and evangelical churches were really going through that like renaissance of stuff. Wasn't hymns anymore. It was like, you know, Jars of Clay and DC Talk and all that stuff was like your praise music, and everybody's in there playing Third Day, and their songs sound like Leonard Skinner sometimes. Like, you know, there's kind of a interesting kind of back-to-back time period there that really got me immersed in music. And then once I got into high school, it was over. I stopped playing sports. I just had a guitar all the time. I was listening to country, punk rock, there was a lot of stuff going on, and playing in bands as much as I could, playing at church all the time, and just kind of really immersed myself in music.
Absolutely. That's awesome. So it sounds like it was really diverse for you with music as far as everything you listened to and also everything you played, I would imagine.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It was across the board, different stuff, and a lot of different influences coming from all over the place. I was never one of those kids that like shut down everything. It was like, there was stuff I loved. I loved a good song. And I think that's what always drove me to find more music and write music and play and stuff, was just good songs.
Absolutely. So what always kind of drew you back and kept you around Western culture?
I think a lot of it had to do with like different family members and stuff, especially Dad and like country music and all that. And my grandparents, they weren't from out here, but all their vacations they took out here. They were in love with Westerns all the time. That's just what we did with my grandpa when he was alive. We'd watch Westerns, and he was a wood carver, so he'd carve guns and cowboys and all this stuff. And grew up pretty close to the ag center too, so we were always, you know, going over rodeos and state fairs and all that stuff when it was going on, and just kind of, I don't know, it was just kind of always around. I think it was to the time period. I think you can probably say to the people, you know, out this way it's a little different in Oklahoma. These guys are just deeply immersed in Western culture.
Absolutely.
But everywhere else, at that time, it was like Westerns were king. So everybody, my dad growing up and stuff, that was the main movies were John Wayne movies and stuff.
Absolutely.
Stuff that he grew up on. So I think that like that aspect of Americana really we just grew up with it. It was just there. And
Absolutely. How, so you've been hooked up with Stetson for a while, Lane Frost brand and stuff like that. What drew you to the Lane Frost brand? Like, how did that relationship start? And, obviously you're talking about the Western culture background and crossover, which I feel like in music, there's a lot of the same elements of that kind of community type feel.
Oh yeah.
But what was it about Lane Frost brand in particular that kind of attracted you to reach out, or Stetson reach out to you and y'all kind of cross paths?
I don't remember how we reached out to each other, but probably through Instagram found it, and then we have several mutual friends with different folks in Three Doors and stuff, and love the designs, love the rodeo, love the history, and with Lane and everything, and then just how they run the company and how Stetson treats people. Like, we all kind of getting to know each other, and over the years, like we just have similar values, similar ideas and thoughts for business and everything, and I think we just kind of naturally kept up staying friends and stuff, and that's what also kind of drew me to the brand was, I'd rather wear this stuff than something else that I picked up at Cavender's or something. No offense to all the other stuff, but like I feel like I have a connection with this, and
absolutely,
it makes me happy. It makes me want to support it.
Absolutely. No, I mean, that's a big deal for us with the Lane Frost brand and with Stetson, and just our fandom and our passion for Western culture and kind of what Lane represents in that capacity. But you've even taken it a step further as far as the Western culture stuff. Tell me a little bit about your turquoise and your silver, and you said that it was over and you fell into music. How'd you fall into to turquoise and silver and jewelry?
I think a lot of it just I've always been an artist of some kind, either with music. I did leather working for 15 years. I guess 16 now. I still do a little bit. It's I've kind of transitioned just to the silver stuff, but I was always making something when I was a kid. It was stuff out of duct tape or painting something. Like, I always just had that creative drive, I think.
Yeah.
And I like doing artwork. I like making stuff, and I think some of it carried over, especially with music, because for a long time you don't make any money with music, so you're constantly finding other jobs to do.
Yep.
And I've worked a lot of different ones, but I always kind of found ways to be creative and survive on it. And for a long time it was leather work, and transition to silver work, and that's play music and do that stuff. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But, I think a lot of it was just, drive to create stuff, but then also, I guess just like kind of growing up where I was, we had a Cherokee Indian reservation like right by us. So from as long as I can remember, we were going over there, and,
that's cool.
We have that lineage on my mom's side, and going over there and researching stuff and finding different things, and all those shops always had Southwest jewelry, and my mom always, like, she loved it. As long as I can remember, she had little pieces, and she's got her own stories she can tell, but I won't tell her story, but but she's incredible. She always like kind of nurtured that side of our family, I think. And once I started traveling with music too and going out west a lot, I was always finding pieces and collecting stuff, and as much as we were traveling with Three Doors the past 10 years, we go out west all the time, and started kind of collecting stuff, and always was drawn to Western and Southwest kind of stuff with silver and turquoise, and then decided to kind of dive in with it. And a buddy of mine in Azle, Texas, he's got Rockin' Out Hardware and Rockin' Out Jewelry. He's been at it for 30 years. His name's Justin Walker. But about 2 Christmases ago, he was like, man, come out to the shop. We need some help. We'll show you how we do some stuff, and taught me a couple things that helped out a lot. And he's been a huge resource for me. Just, any ideas or thoughts I have on stuff, he helps out with. But that kind of jump-started that side of it, and I just kind of took to it and ran with it.
Heck yeah.
Story long.
No. That's great, because, I hear that and I'm thinking, as an entrepreneur, because essentially that's what you are as a musician, like even when I met you in Nashville, you were working I don't even remember where I was at when I met you, but that was just one of your jobs and you were doing a lot of other things. But, that mentality, how, from your upbringing and stuff, is it just something that came natural if you wanted to be a musician, or is it something that you just kind of learned throughout your family and your history of your family, as far as just that hustle and that drive to be an entrepreneur and always make things work? To me, that's fascinating.
We weren't wealthy, like we weren't, crazy poor. We didn't have a whole lot, but my parents both worked really hard.
Yeah.
And I think I saw that, and it's something that we always, like, saying it was out of necessity sounds bad, but like we always had to work. Everybody did. I got my first job when I was 14.
Yeah.
I worked at Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
And I've been working ever since. And I think it was just something that we always had to do, something my parents instilled in me. Like, if you want it, you got to work for it. And it's just kind of, spread out in anything that I've been doing. I can dive into it, work hard, and eventually something will pay off, or it'll lead to something else, and just got to work.
Absolutely. So, you started with Three Doors Down 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So, how
10 years this year, actually.
10 years this year.
Yeah.
So, they've been a band for quite a while.
Yeah.
So, when you joined as the bass player, talk to me a little bit about you getting into the band. How did they find you? Was that something you found them, they found you? How did that work?
So I knew those guys for years before I joined the band, and I was in an old band. We had the same management for a little while, and there's a lot of stuff that kind of happened at the same time, and I was the main contact for that band with the management, so I was always in Nashville working, always trying to get everybody to move there because it was happening. There's writing, the business is there.
Absolutely.
But I was the one that really, made the effort. I was there all the time. And around that same time, I started writing with a writer-artist named James House. And he wrote Ain't That Lonely Yet for Dwight Yoakam. He wrote
That's cool.
In a Week or Two for Diamond Rio. He wrote Broken Wing for Martina McBride.
Dang, some hits.
Heavy hitter. And even now he's like writing records with Joe Bonamassa. Like, the dude is a strong writer, and he kind of took me under his wing at that same time that I was doing all the band stuff. And everybody was like, it's cool that you, even back then, even before I was in Three Doors, everybody was like, it's cool that you play rock and roll.
Yeah.
And you look the way you do, and you want to play country and write country and stuff. And he took me under his wing for about 2 years. We were writing a bunch of songs for different people, and kind of showed me how Nashville co-writes and all stuff, and started cutting my teeth writing with other people there. And was traveling about, I'd work all week in Nashville, or in Asheville where I grew up, and then drive to Nashville, write, and then go back home.
Yeah.
Play band, like all that stuff that I was doing. But the whole time, whenever I was in Nashville, Three Doors just had something going on. And whether it was a record release or some kind of party or something, like, there was something that they were inviting me to, and I just kept going, and organically kind of became friends with most of the guys in the band and half the people behind the scenes. Yeah. So as time went on, we kept doing that and just kind of organically stayed friends with everybody. And then 10 years ago, they let their old bass player go, and they asked if I could do it, and here we are.
Here we sit. That's really cool because, one of the songs that actually kind of made me fall in love with rock music was Kryptonite, actually. So, and that was a while back. So before, and I just have to nerd out and ask this, but before you even started with them, were you like a big fan of their music and stuff like that? Was that something, or was it just
I wasn't like a fangirl or anything, but
that's fine.
Like
that's my job.
I always liked the band. I love rock music, so
yeah.
They always had songs and hits on the radio, and
absolutely,
I was a fan. I wasn't like a super fan, like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm talking to these guys.
Yeah, you
like,
couldn't be, or you wouldn't have been able to be in the positions that you were in.
And then at that time too, like, they're putting out music, I'm like, oh yeah, I know these guys. It's cool. Like, so I was definitely a fan.
That's awesome.
Still am.
Yeah, I would hope so. What's your favorite song of theirs to play?
I like playing When I'm Gone. That's a fun one. It's rocking. And Loser's fun too. So it's kind of slow, and then we got this big rocking out part. The crowd always likes it.
Yeah.
We headbang a lot, and my hair's long now, so people love it.
So it works.
Takes good pictures.
Yep, absolutely. All right, so your EP, Restless. So talk to me a little bit about that and what all it took to kind of get to that point, and just kind of how your country career and your solo career has progressed.
Cool. Yeah. So I guess about 5 years ago, I'd been writing songs with friends and stuff. Anytime we were home in Nashville with 3 doors off the road, I was writing with my friends doing country because I was still like really passionate about it, and started getting some really good songs after a while. And a bunch of my friends were like, "Man, why aren't you doing this? Like, you got a good voice, play." Like, and it's something I never really considered. I was just like, "Oh, I'll just play in a band or something." I thought I was a side guy, and my friends started pushing me, and then I was playing and singing songs for my family, and they were like, "Hey, you should
probably do this.
Sound good. Like, what's stopping you?" So started doing writers rounds in Nashville, which is
very cool.
Kind of like song swaps around, and you do 2 or 3 songs. Everybody, you got a couple different folks up there, and started getting good feedback from people, and just started kind of collecting my songs, and then seeing how my other friends were out playing and touring and doing stuff. Started putting together some covers that I liked, and after a while, I had about an hour and a half set, and
that's cool
because I was writing a ton, and just started kind of taking it to different places. And by then too, I had a lot of friends that were made through 3 doors that were all over the country that were like, I'd put out a song or something. They'd be like, "Hey, this is cool, man. Like, we got a bar here that you can play. They do live music. Like,
yeah,
you should come up." I'm like, "Okay." And I started doing that, and been able to, over the past couple of years, get to some pretty cool places. I go play Alaska quite a bit.
Oh, wow. That is cool.
Yeah, it's fun. It's awesome. But about 4 years ago, a buddy of mine reached out and said he's got a bar outside of Fort Worth that would love to have me. And
which one?
It was Keller Tavern.
Okay.
And went and did 2 shows back to back there, and then ended up playing like a bunch of stuff like all over that area, Texas, and people liked it, which I was nervous about playing that area in like Texas, Oklahoma, Louisiana, like the whole like kind of red dirt community. Mm-hmm. They're like pretty tight knit. They like what they like.
Yeah.
The people like what they like. So that first trip, whenever people were like, "Hey, we like your original songs," it's cool. It was like something that I'd like the feeling, the positivity, and the acceptance was like crazy.
Yeah.
Like, I hadn't really found that anywhere yet.
That's cool.
And I mean, people like enjoyed it when I went other places, but there's just like a different way that people consume music here. They love hearing originals, clap for them, they request them, they get excited. And I think that kind of lit a fire under me to keep coming back and keep writing and keep putting out music, and it's kind of evolved into more. Every year I get up, more songs to put out and new places to play, and keep building that fan base. And I think it's important to, even with TikTok and Spotify and all that stuff and all these things online, you have to take your music to people and make that connection.
Absolutely.
If you want, anything to last or really build any kind of fan base, like you got to take it to these places that people wouldn't necessarily expect, like little small towns where they're like, "What are you doing
Oklahoma.
Here? Yeah. Like, what are you doing here?"
Yeah. Oh, that's cool, man. I'm fascinated to know, like, so you've talked about you write a lot and stuff like that. What is your process like as a writer? What, how do you sit down and just crank a song out? Is it like, do you have a process? Is it just kind of a natural flow? Or
it's always different. I think the main thing, I get a lot of ideas when I'm driving.
Yeah.
So like when I'm driving, in between shows and stuff, listening to music, seeing scenery, all that kind of stuff, kind of taking in your surroundings. That's when I end up like something will spark. And like when I was driving here, past a bunch of big fields and cattle stuff, and it kind of sparked an idea that I want to try to work on. But I've had quite a few different times like that. Thank you.
Keeping you warmed up.
Yeah,
it's no
we
big
got a
deal.
bartender here tonight. Thanks, sir.
Thank you, Philip.
But yeah, I think like driving, I think especially if there is any time that I can really pinpoint, I'd put out a song called "Worth Hanging On To," and I was actually driving home from Texas. My truck was totally dirty, and I'd been driving around here in Texas for a week and a half, 2 weeks doing shows, and the chorus of that song starts, this truck, it might be worn out, covered in dust, but it still runs. Mm-hmm. The song's about like taking care of stuff that's important to you, but that first line was from
that moment.
I was looking at my truck, I was like, this thing's dirty. I gotta wash it when I get home. Yeah. And it just kind of sparked that, and then it, like as I was driving and thinking about it, it turned into like this kind of meaningful, heartfelt song. But I think that'd be the main thing. And then some people specifically just do co-writes. Mm-hmm. I've over the past couple of years it's all over the place. Sometimes I'll sit down and write a whole song by myself. Yeah. And I'm like, cool. Other times I'll write, one line of something that drives me crazy. I take it into a co-write, and then someone says something that sparks those ideas, and you get it rolling.
Absolutely. No, I mean, that's pretty cool because, like, I've written a couple scripts, and it's been interesting because I have written several iterations of, like, kind of the same story, just different, but written multiple versions, and then I'd get in the room with somebody that knows me really well that's a very talented writer, and we'll just kind of jam on it. We'll write 2 more versions. Anyway.
Yeah. So sometimes it's great to have that.
I always find that fascinating.
Yeah, somebody to bounce that off of. And I think writing's writing. At the end of the day, like I eventually put a melody to my stuff, or like sometimes I'll think of something and have a melody already. But for the most part, I'm writing a story. Yeah. Just like you're writing your script. So yours is a much longer form. But
because I use way too many words.
Yeah. I'm a buddy, Jack Carr, he's a writer, former Navy SEAL. He wrote The Terminal List. It's been like huge on Amazon. But I know he like holds up for however long, cranks out a book because he's got a certain process. I know everybody's process is a little different. But, I think mine's just kind of all over the place. Yeah. You never know. Like, I think, too, like, I just kind of keep myself open to inspiration. Not to sound too artsy.
No, but, I mean, I totally agree. I mean, and it's funny you talk about driving and windshield time and stuff like that. Yeah. That's, whether it be business or whether it be creative or, whether it's an edit that I'm working on or just a script, story, a commercial, like that's usually my best time too, is just driving and just kind of finding inspiration in God's creation and what's out there, Yeah. So that's pretty awesome.
I think too, if you're working on something, get stuck on something, like just give it some time. Like I know, like sometimes you're on a time crunch and you got to really come up with something. Or like in Nashville, a lot of times we get, if you're writing with somebody on a pub company, you got a 3-hour block. Yeah. Because they're going to do like 2 of those a day or 3 of those a day, and you got to crank something out, verse, chorus, all the whatever. Yeah. In a time crunch, it makes you work a little faster. But I find sometimes, like, if you can't get something the way you want it, and just step away for a minute. Yeah. Especially if it's something you're working on, just give it a minute and it'll come to you.
How hard is that? So with songs, there's obviously like different parts to it. And I know you being a musician, that's also fascinating to me of like, do you get sounds in your head first? Does it sometimes, or is it like as you're thinking of the story and the words, are you also thinking about the sound with it? Or do you wait and just get the words down and then figure out the sound? Or does it always just kind of depend and vary?
I think it kind of depends. I think it depends on exactly where that inspiration came from. Like sometimes you'll hear something in a movie that sparks something, just words, or you'll hear, like another song kind of turns a phrase that like kind of puts a melody in your head, and then you can think of something off of that. Like the thing with music, it's always kind of different because too sometimes we'll be, sitting in a room, someone's just jamming something on guitar, and you're like, oh, that's cool. and somebody will start singing a melody over it, and then sometimes you just like, hey, I've got these words that I wrote down that actually fit with that. Let's see what we can come up with. And it's always different. I think that's why it's fun. It keeps you kind of engaged because it's not like this.
It's never the same.
Regimented, sit down and do it this exact same way kind of thing.
Is it like that in Nashville? Like, is it regimented sometimes in Nashville depending on what you're doing? Because you talked about like the blocks and different things with publishers.
I think it's what you're doing and who you're with.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I think the only really like regimented thing is just your time.
The time blocks.
Yeah. So
I gotcha.
Like, especially if you're writing with people on a publishing company or something that are, paid writers. Like I said, they probably have 3 of those that day.
Yeah.
And, 15 that week. So, you get like pushed into, we're here at this writing room from, 1, 2 to 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Like, good luck. Better write a hit.
Yeah.
So sometimes that could be the regimen. Then once you get in the room, everybody's, back to their process of whatever.
Yeah. How they do it.
Yeah.
I gotcha. So I'm gonna throw a song at you.
All right.
Tell me the thought process behind it. And so my favorite, which I heard you play it tonight, but Wild Mustangs.
Oh yeah.
Love that song. So what's the thought behind that? And do you remember kind of writing that and where it all came from?
Yeah. So I'd had this idea, like kind of little bit of the chorus, but I was writing with my buddy Richard Mitchell, and he grew up in Southern California. And he was an older guy, like he grew up and like knew all the guys in the Eagles.
Oh,
so
wow.
That is like when he was coming up playing music, he was that. But he's a cool writer. Like, I like writing with some of the like older writers in town, because they just have a different way of doing stuff, and I think I can like borrow some of their like kind of 80s and 90s influence. But we're kind of working on this idea, and he was telling me that as a date, like him and his girlfriend, they would go ride out in the desert and go see the wild Mustangs.
That's cool.
And he always thought it was cool because he drove a Mustang.
Oh, wow.
And that just like kind of sparked this whole story in my mind, and we started writing, and it was just because he was talking about, wild Mustangs out the window.
That's cool.
And we just kind of ran with it. And then I wanted it to be like epic and build and get like really emotional. And
so did the music with that one in particular? I love like the drums and the way it hits and stuff like that, kind of that epicness you're talking about. As a matter of fact, you and I worked on getting the instrumental. Yeah, and it's in the dock right now. So
awesome!
Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah. But yeah, just that epic feel and kind of that build. So was that one that the words came first, and then you kind of developed the epicness around it, or how did that work?
I think the epicness drove the words for us on that one big time, because like as soon as we started talking and telling that story, I was hearing this like kind of guitar thing, and then Richard had this like that little guitar riff at the very beginning.
Yeah.
And once we got into the chorus, I was, like we're writing the chorus, and I'm like beating the hell out of the guitar already. And I could like as we were writing, I could hear the production, which I think a lot of times I can kind of hear the production and stuff whenever I want it to do something cool or go a certain way. Not that I'm a producer in any way, but I can kind of envision, what needs to be in the song. And that one especially, like as we were writing it, like the guitar playing everything, I could hear big drums and just that build. And I wanted to hear, thunder and rain rolling through it.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of give it that sound of, without being too cheesy and using like galloping stuff, but like make it sound like a herd of wild Mustangs.
Yeah, with that
running
bass,
past you.
Yeah, the bass and the drums and all that. Yeah, no, I love it. What about Heartache Rodeo?
Yeah. That's one of my favorite songs. That's one of my favorite songs I've put out. And I've got 2 stories with it. The first story when we were writing it, my main thing with it, like I love rodeo, grew up loving it. Watch it. I love being a part of it and being able to go play shows and stuff and that aspect of it. But You know, I was never the rodeo guy. You know, I went to a lot of them.
Yeah.
But I wanted to write a rodeo song and write songs that, you know, you could identify with as a rodeo fan without trying to sound like I'm, you know,
Yeah.
Billy Bull Rider
Yeah.
badass and
Yeah.
not like misrepresent myself with the song.
Yeah, absolutely.
So a lot of that, like the imagery and the idea and like kind of the turn phrase, the heartache rodeo thing was, you know, like really good at losing was kind of the idea that I had going into it.
Yeah.
But the other part of the story that I always tell is there was a older cowgirl that came up to me after I got done playing in Fort Worth one night, and she was like, "I just love what you're doing. I love your voice and your songs, but you need some of them belt buckle touching songs." And she's swagging her hips. I was like, "Okay, I got it. I knew exactly what she meant."
Why does that not surprise me? You ran into that in Fort Worth.
Yep.
I live in Fort Worth, so I can say that.
But that's kind of where the feel of the song and the idea and stuff came from. Is I wanted to, you know, have a fun rodeo song without, you know, trying to sound
without going over
too much
the top
rodeo
of
guy.
it. Yeah. That's cool. That's cool. And I wanna just give you an opportunity as far as song. Pick one from your new EP.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's We Are the Restless, Anytime Soon, Say It Plain, Gone, The Drifter, Back to Caroline. Any of those stand out, one of those stand out maybe as a cool story or some backstory to give people? Because after everyone hears this, they're going to go listen to your EP.
Yeah, I hope so. Please do. So Say It Plain and Back to Caroline are two of my favorites, and there were two songs that were solo writes. And Say It Plain I was listening to a lot of like 80s country.
That's cool.
And I was sitting on the couch and just kind of playing that groove and like wrote out the story of kind of like, you know, if this isn't enough, this love isn't enough, then just say it plain.
Yeah.
And kind of evolved into that storyline. And I think I'd
cool. Taken
it to a couple writing sessions after I'd, you know, worked on it for a while, and people were like, "I don't get it. Like, what do you mean? What's say it plain mean?" And I was like, "Well,
I get it.
I'll finish it then."
Yeah, no, I really liked that song actually.
But once we got into the recording too, halfway through, I don't know what all I was listening to. It was probably some newer stuff because a lot of people have been doing this like kind of 80s throwback stuff in it. But I just really wanted a saxophone in there. And halfway through the song, the solo, it's got a saxophone solo that comes in for the rest of the song, and kind of reminded me of something like maybe Conway or T.G. Shepherd or something would do. And
that's awesome.
People dig it. I mean, my buddies that came out to the show last night, they requested it twice and again tonight, and they're, I think, 23 maybe. So like younger folks dig it.
That's cool.
But then Back to Carolina, I wrote about growing up in North Carolina.
Yep.
It's got a lot of personal stuff in it and places and things. And my friends and family back home love it, and it was kind of writing it for them.
Absolutely. That's cool, man. Yeah, because I didn't know you were from North Carolina. And so to know that now and have heard that, like, makes total sense.
Cool.
Totally get it now.
I got the point across.
Yeah, there you go, man. There you go. The so what about, you know, what's in store for you in 2023, and what do you hope to achieve, whether it be with Sacred West Vintage or just your music stuff, or what y'all got going with Three Doors, or what all you got going on?
So now we got more shows with Three Doors coming up eventually.
Y'all coming to Texas anytime?
Can't say too much. Supposed to.
Okay, it hadn't come out yet.
Yeah, we're working on some stuff. Me personally, I'll be back through. I've got a tour going out west with my buddy Brian Lowry.
Very cool.
We started off April 14th in Cordell, Oklahoma, and then we go to Santa Fe. We'll be in Denver, Fort Collins. Go up to Laramie, Wyoming, which I'm excited about. It's supposed to be a cool spot. And then 2 shows in South Dakota, and I'm excited about that because like I usually travel by myself, and me and him are gonna get in his van, take off, and
heck yeah,
go play shows for folks. So
going rodeoing.
Yeah. It was funny. It reminded me there was something I just thought of, but I'm on a track now. I got to stay on it. got a bunch of new music coming out, and I've got a new song called Someday Cowgirl coming out soon, which is probably one of my favorite songs that I've written in a long time. And,
Heck yeah, I can't wait to hear that.
It's cool, and I like kind of flipping perspective and stuff, and it's about a guy that's, chasing this cowgirl, and he's waiting for her to come home because she's out rodeoing, and I don't know, I love it. It's kind of got an epic feel to it too eventually.
Heck
but back to the other thing. Friends with a guy named Chancey Williams. I'm sure you guys rodeo community know him. He's awesome artist.
Yep.
And I think he just posted something on TikTok talking about kind of the similarities of what we do in music and what we do in rodeo. He definitely knows because he's done both. But that definitely kind of struck a chord with me because it is similar in the fact we're always on the road, we're traveling, we get a place and go perform that evening, get up and do it again.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of why I'm kind of drawn to the life of this stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very similar.
That's really cool because a couple podcasts ago we had a kid named Lane Shaw on who's a motocross guy. Yeah. And, he talked about how, his family rodeoed. He's the only one in his family that didn't, but he's like, I ride steel horses.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, that's really cool because again, with what we do with this podcast, like, we want to continue to tell the stories of faith, family, country, all those things that just like
hard work.
Yeah. Western that are, in my opinion, they're the definitions and just the ethics of Western culture. And I think that people like you, people like the guys of Three Doors Down that I know are connected with Stetson and different things like that, and a lot of country artists, it's what they bring to the table and what they offer. But, I'm glad you brought that up because you talked about being a fan of rodeo. And when you think about what you do, kind of going up and down the road to play shows, and what they do going up and down, whether it's getting on bulls or hauling their horses or whatever it is that they compete in, and it's one chance, right? Like when you get a show, you get one chance. You get up there, like you said, you say a prayer before you go and you knock it out, right? Yeah. What, you're a musician, you have a career, you're with Three Doors Down, which is a big, big name, like when you think about that and is it weird considering yourself just a fan of the rodeo? And like, is it kind of cool when rodeo kids are fans of yours and stuff like that? Like how that connection is just, it's awesome to me.
Yeah. I love that connection. It's really cool. It's fun to be, just go be a fan of something and go watch, I still love going to concerts and watching and stuff, but that is a cool connection. And, having, rodeo folks that like my music or connect to it somehow, and like, that's cool. Like these are my people.
Like, think about it. Yeah. Think about it. You like riding and driving and stuff like that. And I mean, there's bull riders, there's people going up and down the road that are finding inspiration in your music and your songs.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Finding inspiration in what they do.
Exactly.
It's cool.
Exactly. It's like a copacetic type relationship, which is pretty awesome. Yeah. What about with Sacred West Vintage? You got anything going on in 2023, or just kind of continuing to do what you do, or how does
keep on grinding?
Yeah.
Keep on, trying to get better at it and do the silversmithing stuff as much as I can. People always ask me, like, where do you find the time? Like, if you want to do something and you love doing it, you'll find the time.
You'll find it,
yeah. Just keep, improving my craft and learning and getting it out to people, making stuff that people like, and just kind of keep building what I'm doing.
Heck yeah, man. Yeah. Heck yeah. Well, we got a couple fan questions that I want to throw at you.
Oh, Lord.
All right. So Kelsey brought this up, and I've heard a little story about how you're somewhat of a superhero.
Oh, jeez.
Tell us, Stetson and Kelsey told me I got to get you to tell that story. What happened? Like something about a flooding somewhere or something?
Yeah.
He's being modest.
Hope
people.
I didn't do anything like that nobody else would do. I feel like anybody else in that situation would have jumped in and did did something. But about, gosh, when was it? A year ago?
Stetson said it was like 3.
2
like
years?
2 or
Yeah,
3.
it's gone by fast.
Yeah.
2 or 3 years ago, live in Nashville, Tennessee. Like, we get pretty crazy weather up from the Gulf. So we had like this rainstorm like I haven't seen there in years. We had a huge flood, longer than 10 years now, probably 11 or 12, that wiped out a ton of stuff in Nashville, like all of Broadway, like warehouses. People lost equipment and houses, and this was probably, kind of up there. We had a ton of flooding all over Middle Tennessee, but about 2 or 3 days, it was like torrential downpour and just would not stop. And I remember I got home kind of late. It had to have been about 10. It was just pouring rain. And the house is kind of up on a little hill, and then we got 2 like kind of drainage cutouts that go down to the road kind of for this purpose. But there's a creek that runs down one side and a creek that runs out in front on the other side of the road. And I got home, and me and my girl were watching TV and kind of hanging out. I was like, dang, this rain's just not stopping. And I remember I got up and I was putting a glass in the kitchen in the sink, and you could see out the window, and there's a cop car that came, kind of flying down the road, and he got like right to the entrance of our neighborhood and just locked it up, and this wave of water like
Holy moly.
up over his squad car. And I was like, holy crap. I was like, that's actually gotten bad out there, because it was dark. You couldn't really see, and it was just pouring rain. There's no light out there. And he backed up and went back down the road. And we didn't see any other cars. So you kind of see the water kind of moving. So there's 2 creeks that flooded and connected.
Oh, wow.
And I'd never seen it do that, and haven't seen it do that since, thank God. But an hour or 2 went by, going to bed, and the bathroom, we got a little window that you could see out down into the road there. And it was about 1:30 in the morning, I think. And for some reason, I guess someone was looking out or something. But I just happened to look out that window and saw this van like floating like a boat down there, because it had just gotten that much higher.
Yeah.
And you could see like the community mailboxes down at the one end, and they were like, the water was like kind of covering up the platform for that. And I was like, dang, it's gotten pretty high.
Pretty high, yeah.
But when I looked out there, I had a really bad feeling about this van, because it didn't look right.
Yeah.
And it kind of came in and hit this fence that's like right in front of our, going down our neighborhood. It's like a split rail fence that goes all the way down.
Yeah.
But you could only see the tops, like barely an inch was sticking out of this fence. And as soon as it happened, I just, like, something told me to get dressed. I got dressed and ran downstairs, went outside, and my truck was parked in the driveway. And as soon as I got around the truck, I heard a woman screaming like I've never heard before, like just like absolutely terrified, screaming. And I ran down there, still like lightning, rain, everything, and I got around our mailbox. I couldn't see her, but she had opened her door, or somebody was trying to help her. Like, I didn't see anybody else out there, but it swept her out of her van. Her van was completely filled with water up to like her chest.
Holy moly!
And when I don't even know how she got the door open with the
with
water
the
on
current
it
and stuff.
Somehow she got the door open, and it pulled her out, and she was going. And she grabbed hold of the fence like pretty far, probably about 30 feet down from the entrance of the neighborhood. And I could see her once I got around the mailboxes. And she had her iPhone up in the air and was holding onto the fence with one arm, just screaming.
Oh my gosh!
And I started hollering at her. I was like, "Hey, I'm coming! Like, look over here!" Because she was trying to go down the rest of the fence. Because about a mile up the road, it goes up a hill, and there's a police car.
Yeah.
But that's where those 2 creeks had met and turned into big rivers, and they were going like down. And once they go down into like across railroad tracks, and it just would have been gone. Yeah. And but she saw those police lights, I think, was trying to get up to them, and she was pulling herself along the fence, but the fence was gone about 15 feet from where she was. So when I first went out there, I was like trying to get her attention, because I thought she was just kind of scared.
Yeah.
But I ran around the side of the fence and started getting the water, and it came up to my knees, and I was like, maybe she's just scared. And then all of a sudden, it was up to my neck. Like
Whoa!
It dropped, and I'm
you're
6'4".
not short. Yeah, I was about to say
like,
you're not a short guy.
Yeah, as soon as that happened and it dropped, I was like, all right, I'm in it, and just started swimming towards her. And I was like pulling myself across the fence, and I'm screaming at her like stop moving, trying to get her attention because she was just totally panicked. And
I would imagine.
Once I
Jeez.
got to her, like she was freaking out. I think she finally realized what was going on. I hooked her around the waist and pulled us back across the fence through the water and got up on the where the water had kind of come in over by our little mailboxes and stuff. And
Dang.
my girl come out with a towel at that point, and we're trying to talk some sense into it. She's just totally terrified. She's like,
I'm sure.
my husband will come and get me. It's fine. And we're like, nobody's coming. Like this is totally blocked off. We're gonna have to call him. And ended up taking care of her and getting her calmed down and stuff. But
Dang.
that next day we looked out there and the water is totally gone.
Wow.
And nothing happened. It was crazy.
Jeez.
I had some
What a night.
gnarly stuff all over me when I got out of that water.
Bet. Holy crap.
But yeah, I don't know.
That's
Everyone
crazy.
said there was still lightning going off and stuff. I don't remember any of that, but was happy that I looked out that window when I did.
Yeah, seriously. Man, no joke. Man. Well, there you go. See? Superhero. That's cool, man. So Bryce asks, so you play bass for Three Doors Down, and I saw you play guitar tonight. What all instruments can you play?
Just bass and guitar.
Okay. Okay.
That's those are the two that I stuck with, and I'd love to learn some piano, but those are the two I stuck with.
Very cool. Very cool. And Christina asks, what's your favorite venue to play at? And I'm assuming that can be with anything, Three Doors Down, or
the one that always comes to mind. And anytime anybody asks this question, I think there's a kind of a consensus of people when they travel.
Yeah.
There's a place in Guilford, New Hampshire, and New Hampshire is a beautiful place. It's mountainous. It's actually on Lake Winnipesaukee, which is from
That's
What About
mouthful.
Bob? Yeah, but it's the lake and where they filmed What About Bob, that Bill Murray movie.
Okay, yeah.
And, so the venue, the backstage is like adult summer camp. So the bands pull in, everything's got like log cabin stuff, and like they have coffee, food all day. They've got a pool, they've got mini golf, they've got like probably 30 bicycles, all sorts of different stuff you can go ride around on. After the show, they do s'mores. They do they have this big
crazy.
drink cabana that they set up. There's bonfires everywhere, but it's all just backstage for the bands. And the main thing that's cool, they do lobster dinner every single night whenever you're playing there.
Dang.
And it's like all you can eat lobster.
Wow.
But it's just got a cool vibe. It's like you're at you get out of your bus and it's like a summer camp, and totally different than anywhere that I've ever been. So
That's cool. That's cool. Paul asks, what's your first song you ever learned to play? Or do you remember?
I want to say, like, on guitar, it's probably like Day Tripper from the Beatles. I think everybody learns that, like, da, 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 da. I think everybody learns that, like, straight out of that, or like Stairway to Heaven or something.
There you go. Very cool. Very cool. All right. And then from Garrett, he asks, what would be the highest honor to be asked to play?
Oh, wow. Me personally, like with my stuff, love to play like all the big rodeos. It'd be really cool.
The NFR or something?
Yeah, NFR stuff. Like,
That'd be cool.
like getting to do stuff like that in the community that I'm interested in and, passionate about would be really cool. As for Three Doors, we've gotten to do some pretty cool stuff, and I guess like the biggest one with Three Doors, we did the inauguration for Trump.
Oh,
and
wow. Dang.
that was crazy, and
I
just
bet.
a massive crowd, and
Yeah.
I mean you're there in DC with the president, the first family, and like all the stuff. Like it was a lot, but that was
really cool.
pretty high up there.
I bet. Yeah, that's a pretty big honor.
Yeah.
That's cool, man. Dude, Justin, I've really, really enjoyed this. And we'll have to do this again sometime soon. But is there anything else you'd like to say to your fans or just you're fans of the music or even the sport of rodeo or Western culture?
Yeah, I mean, as for that side of it, like I love what y'all do. You give me inspiration every day to, keep playing my music and bringing it to folks. And thank you for supporting what I do, and thank you for doing what y'all do as fans and as, the rodeo folks and all that stuff. Just a lot of appreciation for all that. And keep looking out for new music.
Absolutely.
Stream it, share it, all that stuff. Absolutely. It goes a long way.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, thank you so much for being here. And also thank y'all for listening, and to the Lane Frost brand for sponsoring these podcasts and having us out here to Atoka tonight. Make sure and go to lanefrost.com for merch and all things Lane Frost, along with all of their socials across all the major platforms. Justin, if you don't mind, what are your social handles for all the various things you have going on, and how can people follow along with you?
I'm pretty sure that they're all just Justin 3 Doors Down.
Okay.
On Instagram, TikTok, all that stuff. JustinBiltonen.com. Usually, okay. I'm pretty easy to find.
Okay. Very cool, man. And if y'all would follow along with us on social media at Tough Draw and at Tough Draw Talks for more episodes of our podcast, as we continue to bring y'all closer to the rodeo community and Western culture community. Until next time, everyone, enjoy the ride.